This
virtualization.
conference will now be recorded.
Is it clear, guys? Any doubts on this so far, whatever I have covered? Okay, so I'll take that as no. Okay, so now current setup. So currently, when I say current setup, current cloud setup. So let's also talk about in traditional architecture, we used to use Dell servers, HP servers, IBM servers, Cisco. We don't have servers, but those Lenovo servers. In those days, those are the physical servers which are very famous. Okay, for traditional architecture. So we purchase a server, then we connect to. We call it as for Dell. You have so ideally you get a physical server. That physical server will also have some management console, management portal. Like for Dell you have ID rack something. For IBM you have yeah. So those days you have ILO, we call it as you connect to that hardware to manage your servers. So those days, so traditional. So in 5 years before, so later, like later on when this virtualization concept has come, so here the famous companies or famous tools are VMware, vSphere, and then we also use Hyper-V from Microsoft. So, and then we also use Nutanix. Nutanix has its own software setup, but it also works with a VMware software as well. So, yeah, these are the end of. If you look at a desktop virtualization, you have Citrix Zen Desktop and Microsoft VDI, and also you have VMware Horizon View desktops. So these are the virtualization, completely a virtualization setups. So, but among all these, VMware was a leader, so I would say in virtualization. Um, but later on, Microsoft also have equally. They also have the separate tool so to manage this. And Nutanix also recently, it was little booming. So this is about the virtualization concept. Okay, the companies. Now current setup. So when I say current setup, the current trend, what we are seeing. So current trend is actually cloud. So the fact is, all the cloud technologies, all the cloud providers, they use same this virtualization concept only. So they will use this virtualization concept inside their data centers, because but they'll do it in a large scale. So they'll, so if we are a small organization, we might just create we'll purchase one single physical hardware, and we will create maybe 4 or 5 VMs on top of the hardware, and we'll actually create 4 or 5 applications, 4 or 5 websites as per our requirement, and we'll start using it in our small organization in our own premises. But these cloud providers, they'll do it in a large scale, like they'll actually purchase thousands of servers, physical servers. So again, the physical servers can be Dell, HP, IBM, Lenovo, so those servers only. So they'll purchase the physical servers. On top of the physical servers, they'll actually use this hyper virtualization layer, like with the hypervisor software. Then they'll actually create multiple VMs. They'll create in fact thousands of VMs, because they purchase physical hardwares with the size we have just talked about, 4 CPU, 16 gigs of RAM. But they'll actually purchase 256 CPU and 1024 gigs of RAM, I think 2048 gigs of RAM. So they'll purchase bigger hardwares. So on top of the bigger hardwares, they can create maybe tens, 20s, 30s of VMs on top of one single hardware. So I mean, because they'll do it in a large scale. So let's say let's consider they have one single setup. Let's say they have multiple servers, as I told, but on one server, let's say they have six VMs. So they don't give, so they can give these 6 VMs, one VM to me, one VM to Anjali, one VM to Sunil, one VM to Funny, one VM to Jaya, one VM to Varsha. So they can distribute these VMs. That's the reason they call it as shared, what is, it's a shared model. So because your hardware will be shared, so your VMs, all your VMs are actually created. So the VM that I am using and that you are using is actually created on a same hardware by actually using some virtualization concept. So they actually create on the same hardware, but they'll actually provide to multiple different customers. Reason being, because it is very secure. It is very secure, that is for sure, because the data that I am using, of course you cannot see that, because on a VM, it's only for me, only I can see that, because you all cannot see it. So we have that security boundary layer for all the VMs. It's very secure, there is no doubt there. So but the thing is, on top of one single hardware, they are able to actually sell, they are able to actually give that VMs to 6 different customers. So that's how they get the revenue. That's how they are able to utilize the physical hardware properly. So 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 all the cloud providers does the same. So be it a Microsoft Azure or AWS or GCP or Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, all the cloud providers will do the same. But the type of virtualization, the kind of the software that they use may be different. Microsoft will use their own software, which is Hyper-V. We call it as Hyper-V. So we are actually going to do a demo on the same Hyper-V only. So uh, AWS might use different. They might use some KVM. Google might use different. So they might use, either they will actually partner with some virtualization companies, or they will do it. They will actually create their own virtualization. So they'll, because yeah. So that's how they actually do it. So so because we are learning Microsoft Azure, Microsoft has its own tool which is Hyper-V since long time. So they have this tool, I think, from 2008 onwards. So they have this hypervisor software since 2008. So on top of that, they'll use the Hyper-V, then they'll create multiple VMs as per your requirement, and then they'll give it to you. This is actually the current trend. So with the advantage with the current trend is, so in your premises, I understand. So here the main benefit is here in traditional, so you'll have a single server. So the main drawback here is you're actually wasting up your resources. So in your own premises, if by actually converting to hypervisor, you're actually able to save some usage. So you're actually able to actually save some cost. You're able to utilize that rest of the remaining hardware. But you know what happens, let's say you want to build some 100 VMs. So you'll actually, when you want to do it, of course you'll be able to save some cost here, but the managing part, you have to manage the hardware and all this setup, right? So that's where actually you'll have to main thing is, like we have discussed about cloud benefits, like you're going to, you have to make initial investment, you have to manage all this, expertise who can actually do all the setup. So all these actually are there in your on premises. But when you actually move to cloud, so in the back end, because they do it in a large scale, they do it in a very large scale, they'll actually have expertise to do that. They'll also have I mean, they'll purchase the hardware, and in a large scale again, bigger hardware. The bigger hardware that you purchase, more machines that you can create, and more economical it will become. So that's actually the idea. So that is why you get a VM in Azure just only by spending 10 rupees per an hour. So if you just take one two CPUs and 8 gigs of VM in Azure, you'll only be charged 10 rupees per an hour. So it's that economical. So that is it's because they do it in a large scale with a lot of different customers, and they can actually share that cost. Then the cost per customer will actually reduce drastically. So that is another advantage that you get. So this is about the cloud setup. But now let's actually jump into demo. Okay. Any doubts so far? Okay, no doubts. Okay, fine. Okay, so um, yeah, probably you may not be aware of the Azure. So let me actually quickly open. So Azure. So portal for Azure is portal.azure.com. So this is actually the portal for Azure, portal.azure.com. Okay, so when you open Azure, so you get so this is actually home page. So let us quickly see home I mean, quick tour of this Azure. Okay, so from where you can see the tour. So when I say this is Azure, this is actually front facing. So for us, so in a simple terms, you have Flipkart. You open Flipkart and you look at multiple different products. You'll add them to cart and you'll purchase it. So that's actually e-commerce website where you can purchase products. Similarly, this is actually I would say e-commerce in IT. So you actually can purchase, you actually can create your own VMs, whatever you need in IT. Uh, so information tech in IT. So whatever you need, you'll actually create them and you'll use them, and then you'll actually get a bill on a month end, and you pay the bill for that. So it is a front-facing website for Azure. Okay. So in help, so you have something like uh, a launch guided tour. So let us actually see quick tour. So from here, you can create any resource. When I say resource, it's actually a service in Azure. A resource can be a virtual machine, a resource can be a storage account, a resource can be a virtual network, it can be a DNS, anything. So any single service, we call it as resource. Okay. This is where you can come, wherever you are, you can come back to home page by actually clicking this. It's a dashboard. It's like on your mobile screen, you actually will use your own shortcut keys, right? So in dashboard also, you can have a shortcut shortcut links, and then when you click on it, it automatically takes you to the particular service. Okay, that's actually dashboard. And this is where you can see all services by actually selecting this. And this is your favorite bar, so you can actually move these up and down. You can actually arrange them in order. All you have to do is just click on it, hold, and then drag up and down. So this is where you can actually add your favorites. Okay. So this is a main search bar. Anything that you need, be it a VM or storage account, you search it here. This is your directory and subscription, nothing but directory is actually like Active Directory. Maybe you may not be aware of that, but it's okay, because tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we are going to cover those concepts as well. But directory is nothing but in a simpler terms, every user, whenever they sign up for Microsoft Azure will actually create one tenant for them. Tenant is nothing but a unique identifier. It's something like this. Whoever actually enters to Ramoji Film City, they'll give some tag to you, something maybe that will have some unique number for you, identifier. So this is actually, this person is entered here. So because a lot of people will enter into Ramoji Film City, everybody will have some tag or something like that, a unique identifier. So this person, okay, who has taken this? Okay, this person has taken this. Similarly, a lot of customers will sign up to Azure. So to recognize each and every customer, they'll actually give one unique identifier to every customer whenever they sign up for the first time. So when I say every customer, let's say you as a company, let's some XYZ company, and you as a XYZ company, you actually signed up for Azure. And then once you signed up for Azure, you get a unique identifier. So because that's actually, that unique identifier is for your entire company. So inside that, you can create multiple users. All these users will not get a different unique identifier again. So they will get same unique identifier. So it's actually organization wise, I would say. And then every we call it as tenant. The terminology is important, because while you're actually attempting interviews, so you have to tell right with the right terminology. So that is important. Otherwise, a person who is working 2-3 years into Azure, so if that person doesn't actually tell right terminology, like names, exact names, so that obviously that will give some clarity to other interviewer that maybe he has not worked on that. So terminology is important. So it's actually called as tenant. It's a unique identifier. So every tenant will have its own directory. So the directory will actually contains users, groups. So that is actually this directory. So directory is just like your phone. In your mobile, you have contacts, like users, different users. Yeah, it's actually directory where you can actually create, manage users and groups and applications. Okay, so coming to subscription is actually main thing. Subscription is something like, I told you, this is Azure is like a postpaid. So you create services, then you use the services, and you pay bill on a month end. So Microsoft, what is the guarantee that, let's say you opened a portal, you created some services, you used it, on a month end they have actually said this is the bill. And what is the guarantee that you will pay the bill? Because Microsoft actually has a lot of customers across the globe, and there will also customers who actually don't want to pay. They'll just simply use it. They may not pay it. But how will Microsoft ensure that they get the payment as well? So that's actually subscription. So every customer whoever want to use the Azure, they have to purchase a subscription. There are different types of subscriptions. So Microsoft also provides a free subscription for every user one time. So one time, which is actually you get a 200 USD free credits for 28 days time to use it. So you can create, you can practice, you can do labs, you can do everything whatever you want. So they'll give you for free for 28 days 200 USD, which is close to 14,000. They'll give you 14,000 plus 400, I guess. So they'll give you those grades for you to use. So post the subscription 28 days, if you want, you can actually convert to pay as you go model. Pay as you go, like it's just like this. You have Amazon subscription, so they'll give 1 month for free, and post that you can actually continue with the normal usage, pay usage. Similarly, if you want to continue with the pay as you go, then you will actually convert to pay as you go. It doesn't automatically converts, don't have to worry. So only when you yourself upgrade it, they'll actually start charging you, otherwise no. So that's actually subscription. You purchase, you first of all have to purchase a subscription to create any service in Azure. So all your billing, so when you purchase subscription, you might have to, in India, you have to add your credit card, because that's how on a month end, when you get a bill, that bill will be directly onto your credit card. It will be deducted from your credit card. So that it's like automated process. That's actually subscription. Let's go to next. So this is a notification. Whatever you create, all the status, like creation, deletion, status will show up here. From here you can get help support. So you can see. So this is your account information, my personal account information. I'll be able to see it here. So like you have supported resources, you have asked the Azure community. So you have some help resources here. You also have some documentation. If you want to reach out to Microsoft for any help, then you can use this help and support. This is about a quick Azure portal tour. So now let's, because anyways, we are going to learn all these while we actually moving ahead in our training. But let's now actually do let's learn about hypervisor. Okay, this is one of the VM I created. Don't worry. So sometime you may not be able to understand everything here, but don't worry, because in future, in upcoming days, we are going to learn all of this. So I'm actually trying to connect to my VM. How do I connect? So you simply click on connect. You have one RDP setup. So either you can simply download this file and you can use it to connect. So you have to put on your credentials. Okay. Yeah. Sunil, you unmuted. You want to ask any question?
Yeah, Shankar, my company uses Office 65, right? Office 65 all the time. We are on SharePoint. So does Azure gives any kind of rebate or something for having an account?
Sorry, Azure gives. I didn't get you. Can you come again?
Any rebate? Does it give any rebate or discount on having a corporate account?
It depends. It depends on your company. So if you're actually, yeah, I mean that's something, that's an agreement that your company will have with the Microsoft. So because you as an individual in your company may not be able to directly get the benefit, but if your company already had some talks with Microsoft, and because ideally, let's say an organization that purchases Visual Studio Enterprise, they get free credits up to 150 USD on a monthly basis. But that's their, yeah, monthly, yes. So but that is actually I would say you need to actually, I don't know whether you can directly get it or you have to reach out to your team or management if you're already using that Visual Studio Enterprise. So large organizations, big enterprise organizations, mostly they'll actually purchase this Visual Studio setup, and they will actually talk to Microsoft and they'll get this benefit. So the users will actually get I would say, I think I don't know how Visual Studio will be licensed. So is it a per user basis or how it is? But whoever actually has the Visual Studio license, enterprise license to them, they'll actually they are eligible to get 150 USD on a monthly basis. So for your actually practice. So that's how Microsoft actually offers these credits. The benefits, when you ask for benefits, these are the benefits. Along with these, they also will give some discounts for the enterprise organization, like 15%, 20% on a software assurances. When you say software assurances, those are like operating system charges. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. So this is the VM I am already into. So let us actually enable Hyper-V. So I talked about Hyper-V, right? Hyper-V is a Microsoft product. You can actually use that product to virtualize anything. So so you have to first enable that rule, that role. So you can see Hyper-V here. I'm enabling this role. So it is asking me which. So I'll actually come back to this later. But let us actually go ahead and create. Yeah, I'm choosing a default options for now. Public. Okay. Let me choose. So this is where your disk, your VM disks will be stored. So choosing the same. So I'm actually allowing my machine to restart automatically. So once it installs, let's wait for this to install. So in the meantime, okay, it's restarting. So in Azure, so when the VM is restarting, so you can actually see the screenshot of. You cannot actually take a console like you do it in on-premises in VMware or in physical server. But of course, you can see a screenshot of your VM. So how do you see the screenshot? So you can see the screenshot from here. So this is actually a screenshot. So you have to keep refreshing. So it's 146 in UTC. So still probably just rebooting. You have to see this time. So it's not updated time. So yeah, it's actually rebooting now. So you'll be able to see a screenshot of this here. So you might have a question. So I'm only able to see screenshot, but what if my VM is not booted? What if my VM is actually stuck in boot? How do I actually fix that problem? So then for that option, we have serial console. You can directly able to access your VM in a command line mode. So you'll not get luxury of GUI with a serial console, but you'll actually able to manage even if your VM is not booted in a serial console. That is possible. Yeah, seems our VM is actually ready. So let me see some downloads, right? Yeah, that's earlier we have actually downloaded that RDP file and to connect. So we can also, in fact, we can connect in our own way as well. Okay, so yeah, so you can see it is succeeded. So in tools, if you go to tools, you will see a Hyper-V manager. So this is where actually this is my physical this server. So here you can create your virtual machines. So you have to choose new option, then you can actually create your virtual machine. So if you want to create a VM, so you actually will specify. Before I go ahead and create a VM, so let us actually, because I don't have any ISO with me, so let us actually try to download some ISO from internet. Then to actually have that, virtualized setup. So let us actually, so Microsoft. Any questions in the meantime?
Shankar, I mean, you have enabled this Hyper-V in a faster manner, so you will again create and in the future, in the next classes, you will again create this Hyper-V and virtual machines, right? Seems like your this is a little bit fast.
I did not get you. Can you come again?
See, now you have enabled Hyper-V and you have created one virtual machine, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So again, in the later classes, will you will again create in a slow manner and show, right? Seems like this bit faster, right?
This is actually we are not going to deal with Hyper-V in our training. So this is only just to give you, because uh, here actually I took little speed. The reason being, this is not really required because we are not going to create any VMs using Hyper-V in Azure. So this is only just to show you like proof of concept. We have discussed theory. This is just to show you how you can create a VM, because I have actually went little speed because we need to download and complete this setup. But once we are actually here, when creating a VM, then that is where you can actually you will understand the virtualization concept. The idea is to make you understand the virtualization concept, not to actually create this because you will never actually create this setup in even
Okay.
when you work as Azure administrator. So
Okay.
so you will mostly deal with the VMs in Azure portal. I have shown you Azure portal, right? So you'll mostly deal with the
Okay.
Azure portal. This is
All
just
right.
to,
All right.
yeah, so make you understand. So
Fine. Thanks.
Shankar, is that we cannot run VMware on Azure cloud? Is it only Hyper-V?
you can run. VMware is also partnered with Azure. You can run VMware also on Azure, but by default, Microsoft will use Hyper-V in the backend because it's their product. Because if you want to use VMware product, they'll actually charge some licensing cost. they don't want to spend that licensing cost. If they add that licensing cost, that will actually end up you paying higher charge as a customer, right? So if they spend 100 rupees, they'll try to actually put that 100 rupees cost on yourself. So if when Microsoft actually able to use their own tool for free, so they can give the VMs at a cheaper price. So if they actually use a VMware products are costly, so the price will actually finally end up you paying higher, you paying more money. So that's actually the thing.
Yeah, the basic question is because a lot of customers they want to go for multi-cloud and want to run the application on AWS, Azure as well as GCP. So my question to you is, does it really matter on what Hyper-V they are using in the backend as long as their application is working?
That's right. Doesn't really matter. Your VM is not gonna know what hypervisor you're using in the backend. So let's leave about VM. Your application will never know that you are actually using some hypervisor. What your application will think is, wherever you created, whichever VM you created, it consider that VM itself as a physical server. So it doesn't know the hypervisor at all. So that's actually the main advantage with the hypervisor. So yeah, so it doesn't matter which hypervisor you're using. So end of the day, your VM should up and running, and your application should continue to run. That's all matters.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I downloaded some ISO. So let us actually create a VM now. So I think I have my ISO ready. So now let's actually, so this is a Hyper-V. This is where you manage, I'll go slow now. So this is, here you can actually create a VM. So you have to click on new. So so here you can create hard disk, floppy disk, and you can also create a virtual machine. So let us create a virtual machine. So here you have multiple options. So here you are going to specify your name. So I'm just saying as a VM0, and you're going to specify your path where exactly your VM disks has to be stored. So this is it has taken a default path. If I want to change this path, I can actually select this and I can change it. But I'm going with the default path. And this is actually a generation. So hypervisor actually has two generations. Generation 1 is the old one. Generation 2 is a new one. So generation 2 has some advantages, like it can actually boot using UEFI based, and yeah, so it has some advantages. But right now Microsoft is still using generation 1 in the Azure cloud. For Azure cloud, they are still using generation 1. Reason being, a lot of customers, they are migrating to Azure. So when they migrate in on-premises, they might have legacy servers. For all the legacy servers to support, they are still actually using generation 1. Of course, you have an option to choose generation 2 as well. Yeah, so this is actually just in a simple simple understanding. Generation 1, you can actually consider like Hyper-V -1, which is an older version, -2, latest version. Like when you create this with a generation 2 VM, you get some additional advantages that you can see it here, some virtualization features. So here I'm going to give some RAM to my machine. So I'm actually giving some 2048, which means 2 GB of RAM I'm allocating to my VM. So how much RAM I have? So you can check that from your system properties. So if I go to system properties, I have 16 gigs of RAM. So out of 16 gigs, I'm actually allocating 2 GB of RAM, 2 gigs of RAM to this VM. Now you have networking. So I'm choosing so networking. Let's actually, I told you there is some. So how do you go to networking? I'm actually using shortcut keys. You can also use same ncpa.cpl. Will go to directly go to networking. So you can see this is actually a physical network adapter, not a physical I would say this is a network adapter that is attached to this VM. But the hypervisor, when you create a hypervisor, you can see V Ethernet. This is actually Ethernet. This is V Ethernet. So this is actually virtual switch. so that you have it here. So I'm selecting this network. Now you have to give the hard disk. So this is actually hard disk size. So I don't want to give maybe 32 gigs should be sufficient. So this is a hard disk file. So it is actually your hard disk for this VM. A disk for your VM is actually a file with an extension of VHDX or VHD. That file is actually being stored. I think you can actually use maybe, okay, we have to use VHDX. The file that you can use, this is actually a hard disk that you can actually, that will be stored in your this C Hyper-V folder. So if a disk for this virtual machine is actually a file inside this folder. So that's why I call it a software defined machine. Now finally we have to actually boot our operating system. So either you can do it in either of these ways. If you have a CD, you directly go ahead and actually select this. So but in my case, I don't have a CD, but I have an ISO image that I already downloaded. I'm selecting that option. So in downloads, yes, I have this ISO. So I'm choosing this. Let's actually finish. So that's it. So our VM is actually, it's created, but it's powered off state. So how do I power it on? So you have options here, connect, start. So you also can right click and you have options here also. So you can start this machine, and to view what's happening on this machine, you can actually connect. So when you actually want to connect, so you get a console here. So this is a console that you'll see. So you can see your Ubuntu is actually installing. So it is asking for language. So I'm actually choosing an English language. So I don't know how many of you have actually installed, what do you say? How many of you have installed an operating system so far? Somehow I actually entered. Okay, let me do this. So my Ubuntu is actually installing it. This is actually Linux VM I've picked to do it, but you can also do it Windows also. You can download a Windows ISO and then you can install as well. So that's actually pretty easy. So we are just installing Ubuntu in our case. Any questions, any doubts? So it's actually still installing. So yeah, this process, of course, you can try to understand. But in case if you want to download a Windows machine also, so you can do that. Maybe Windows 2022. I don't know. 2022 also will supports, but I'm not sure whether we have that ISO. 2022 is latest one. Okay, evaluation. Yep. So I think we have it. Yeah. Please go on.
Shankar,
Yes.
so can we use remote desktop in MSTSC for any VM on the Azure, like if it's a Linux or Windows or anything?
Yes, of course you can take. And in fact, I've done the same, right? So I've taken a remote desktop to one of the VM. I'll show you. This is actually a different one. I'll show you that. No problem. So
The one we are installing now, Ubuntu, we can take it for that as well.
that's not actually in Azure, right? That's actually a hypervisor VM that I created. So, but an Azure VM, of course, you can take. This is not a VM. Let me actually come to that stage. Okay. So this download, just downloading it so that I can actually explain you. Yep. So download is in progress. So okay. Now coming to your point. Okay, so this is actually a VM. So whatever you see in Azure portal, so uh, the things that we are learning in this VM, these are only for learning purpose, because these are only for you to make for you to understand how hypervisor, how virtualization works. But ideally, Azure does not work this way. You don't go ahead and create some VMs in Hyper-V. You don't do all that. We used to do all these things in on-premises. We used to do all these things in on-premises in private cloud, but we are no longer doing all these things in Azure. But in Azure, what we are doing is we are simply this is Azure portal. Everything that you want to manage, you're simply managing it from here. This is one of the Azure VM. Of course, this VM, this is how we have taken. So you have taken the public IP address, you have open RDP, uh, you have open RDP, and then you have entered the IP address, and then you connect to it. You have connected to it, right? So of course that is definitely possible. So you can connect to this VM, then you have to enter credentials, and that's how I got connected to my this VM. So I already got connected to Remotest. So Azure VMs, yes, you can connect to PuTTY for Linux, you can connect to RDP for Windows. That's possible. So, but the things that we are learning in this, these are only for just only for learning purpose, only for you to understand how virtualization works, only for you to understand on a single machine how you can create multiple VMs on with a different operating systems. That is only for your understanding purpose. But we no longer will do any of this in Azure. So this, I understood your question. You actually wanted to connect to this VM as from a remote desktop. That's what you want to achieve, right? If I'm not wrong, that is something you cannot do it. That is something you cannot do it because the reason being, this doesn't have. This is actually a nested VM. So what I mean by nested VM is, so you have, one second. What I mean by nested VM is, you have one second, please. So you have one. This is a physical server. On top of physical server, I have my virtual machine. Inside a virtual machine, I have another VM. So this is actually Azure. This is actually Azure VM. Inside Azure VM, we are actually creating another 2-3 VMs. So I created one VM as a Ubuntu. I'm going to create another VM as a Windows as well. So that's where we are right now. That is the reason. So it is not possible for you to RDP to these VMs, because these are actually nested inside another VM. So that's the reason it's not possible. This is only for your understanding. So you can see my Ubuntu machine is already, it's booted and it's online now. Let us quickly try to create, this is a Linux VM on top of this, my actual Windows VM. Now let us try to create another VM, another Windows VM. So because we are already aware of this process, I'm actually going a little fast here. So generation 1, I'm just keeping it as default. Here I'm actually going to give some 9 gigs of RAM, because Windows requires little more RAM. So I'm using same switch, same virtual switch. Then choosing, okay, let me actually give 32 gigs. I'm not sure whether 32 gigs are sufficient, because let me see how much free space I have on my C drive. Okay, I have 106. I think I can happily give 64 gigs. Okay, and I have to choose my operating system ISO image. So in ISO, I have my Windows. This is actually Windows server. Finishing it. Now same setup. Let us actually start and let us connect to it. Yeah, so just remember, these are only for your understanding purpose. So we have discussed about virtualization concepts. So I want you guys to understand how virtualization works, how you can create multiple VMs on top of one single hardware. So you can see we created two separate VMs on one single machine. So to actually make you understand on this virtualization concept, actually we are doing this lab, but otherwise Azure does not work in this way. So you no longer have to create any VMs like this. So let me install it. Yeah, we're almost done, maybe 2 more minutes. So here you have standard and data center edition. So I'm actually going with the data center edition. So you have, this is directly, this has multiple ways. It's a command line. This is also command line. This is a desktop experience. I'm going with data center desktop experience. Yeah, this operating system might take some time. I'm not sure how many of you have installed an operating system uh, in your time. So, sorry, this one I have to go with the custom. I'm actually, yeah, ideally this installation will take some time. So let's see if we can finish it in maybe a few minutes, because it's the latest operating system, might be a little faster. Let's hope it finishes in a few minutes. Any questions while this is actually creating?
Shankar, can you just show me where you have started the installation of the hypervisor software in the portal?
Okay, so in the portal, no, I have not done it in the portal. I have done it in the inside a VM. This is where you'll see in a dashboard. I have chosen to add all roles. Then I have actually enabled the Hyper-V role here. Hyper-V role here. Then I actually installed it. So this is
Okay.
actually server. So this is actually a server. So I did it inside a server. So if you want to do it on your laptop, of course you can do that. So in your laptop also you have this feature. So you have to go to control panel. I'll show you how you can do it. Provided you have some, uh, let's say if you have 16 gigs of RAM, so you can do that laptop.
Yeah, I'm missing that point too, because the remote session says you're on a public IP, right? 4122.
Correct.
And this public IP, you took it from the portal of the Azure.
Exactly. That's where I said, right? We are actually a nested VM. So
So,
what I mean by nested VM.
the two VMs that we created now, they're actually on Azure itself.
Yeah, exactly. They're actually in a Microsoft data center only. So you understood the logic. So I used a Microsoft VM itself to create another two VMs inside the Microsoft VM, Azure VM.
And can you go back to the portal and show if you have those two VMs which are we are
No,
installing?
you cannot
Is it?
see them. You cannot see them because you're not doing it in Azure. So you're actually doing inside one specific VM. You can only see them here. You cannot see them in Azure.
But this
That's
public
why
IP, you take it from the portal, right?
this public IP is not for these VMs. This public IP is for this VM, the VM. So whatever I connected, where I actually enable my Hyper-V role. So if you want to see, so this is actually a VM. This is this is private IP address, and inside my VM, if I just simply use ipaddress.com, sorry, So you see an IP address 40.122, 47.243. So this IP address is not IP address of these VMs. These
I
VMs
got that.
doesn't. Yeah.
Can you go back to the portal once, so Azure portal.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you copied the public IP address here, right?
Yes, that's right. To connect to this VM in RDP. So that's what I already did. So I copied this VM. I used remote desktop, MSTS. I gave the IP address. Then I connected to this IP address. I provided my credentials.
Okay, now I got it. So the base system which we are creating is actually on the cloud, and within that server you're creating 2 more VMs.
Exactly. Because yeah, that is exactly right. What you have actually.
So the main server is itself is on the Azure cloud, right?
That's right. Main server itself is in Azure cloud, and we are using the same main server to create another 2 VMs in Azure.
Yep.
But what I want you guys to understand is just how we are creating a VM is what you need to understand. So leave about this Azure, this VM, this public IP address. Just only try to understand how I enabled Hyper-V role on a server, then how I created the VM, and how I am able to access the VMs. That's all we need to understand for a virtualization concept.
Yes. Clear.
So let's say I'm on Ubuntu. So this is actually the machine, that one of the machine that I created. So let's actually see. This is still actually installing, 95% done. So I think we should have this ready in some time.
Shekhar, you were telling how you have activated that Hyper-V. If we have a laptop, then you're telling that go to control panel or something. So
Uh,
from where we get the dashboard?
yes, I am actually in the same page. Okay, so this is actually my laptop, my personal laptop. So on my laptop, so you have to go to turn on futures. So then you get this page here. This is actually, I'm using Windows 11. So if you're using Windows 10 also, you will see this option. So this is where you can enable Hyper-V. So all you have to do is just select this, click OK. It actually will restart the machine, because I am already middle of a demo, so I don't want to install it because it will restart it. But once you actually enable this, you'll have same Hyper-V thing. So same Hyper-V like this you'll also have in your Windows 10 laptop or Windows if you use Windows 10 or Windows 11, you will still have that thing. So you
Okay.
can do this same lab on your Windows laptop as well.
Okay. Yep.
So I just have a question. So to prepare my future classes. So do you guys like theory, or do you guys like demo, like more demonstration, a practical, or do you want mix of both? Because ideally I ask this question to every students, every batch, so that I can prepare my own class further sessions. So which
Mix
is
of both, I would say.
it's okay. You want mix of both. Okay. How about others? More practical. Okay.
I'll always suggest that we need to have a pictorial representation first, like having some pen and diagram on the whiteboard and say this is what happening, this is what we are going to do, and then moving on to the practical. That will connect us much better. Then because you understand on a pen and paper, you understand, okay, what we are going to do. These are the VMs, these are the servers. We are going to build this one inside this box. We are going to access this. Okay, just give us a basic representation on the graph and then move on to the practical. Because sometimes practical, we just keep on looking at it, and by the time we realize, half the time is passed, and then we ask back questions on it.
So yeah, I mean, I think we have done the same today. So I actually explained the virtualization concept. Then we went ahead and actually did this. So
does Career IT give you any kind of tab or a pen and tab to show the screen in the Zoom meeting and then explain it before?
that's actually not, I don't have that luxury. Probably maybe in future we'll have that. But for now, because I'm actually using some pen within this VM, it's within this my machine itself to actually to draw anything.
Yeah, today this was the easy concept, but later on, because later on when we move to much complex concepts inside the Azure, maybe we need to have that, because when you give us in a picture form, that easily stores in our mind, right?
Correct.
And then we can refer that easily.
Yeah, I'll actually bring pictures for every of these things, because I'll actually mostly bring the ready-made pictures. Then we'll try to draw on top of this, because drawing that picture directly, yeah, that's actually good thing. But we can also use the ready-made one, and on top of it we can actually use the marker to do it, for explanation purpose. That's what I do.
Yeah, it could be anything. Rough explanation is fine, as long as we understand. Right?
So our Windows 2022 is ready. So 2022, I think most you may not have seen it so far, but yeah, here it is. So 2022 we have installed. So you have two VMs on this machine. One is Ubuntu and other one is Windows 2022. So on a single server, you have two virtual VMs that are created. And let's actually see how much CPU memory that we are using right now. So how am I checking? So I'm going to Task Manager here. So let's actually see this. So I'm actually out of 16 gigs of RAM. I'm actually utilizing 9.5. So 6 plus 2, about 8. Sorry, 4 is for Windows, 2 is for Linux. 4 plus 2, 6, and remaining I think 3.4 gigs is being utilized by my operating system. So now I'm 59% is what utilized. I can still actually create another VM on top of this to fully utilize my hardware. So that's actually the advantage you get with the virtualization. So the CPU is still normal, but when you actually start using your VMs, then you actually will, this usage may go up. So this is how the virtualization works. Advantage of the virtualization. Ideally, if I want to create these two VMs, I have to purchase two separate hardwares. Then I have to actually create a Ubuntu on a separate hardware, Linux, Windows on a separate hardware. It will cost me, I think, at least 10 lakh rupees for me if I have to do it in my on premises. Let's say I want to do it in my home itself with the servers, all this setup. I have to at least spend some 10 lakh rupees just to set this up. Agree? Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, so this is actually advantage with the cloud and virtualization. So cloud is actually trending because it is actually using virtualization concept in the backend, and so by using the virtualization concept, they are actually able to give the VMs and servers at a cheaper cost, at a lesser price. So in fact, so you can so the VM that I am using, so this is actually bigger VM. It has 16 GB of RAM. So I'm only being charged 15 rupees per hour. So I think I created this VM before this demo itself. You'll see cost also. Okay, I think I don't have this blade. 1 second. No, so I don't have this, but I'll have that information here. in my subscription, so I should have that information. So if I look at the resources, okay, so I don't have that. I just created it 2 hours ago. So I was billed 15 rupees per hour. So which is very less. Just to complete this demo, I'm only spending 30, 40, 45 rupees. That's it. So that is how it is. So you'll not be charged huge. So advantage with the Azure. So that's about it, guys. I think we are already past. Oh, past 24 minutes. Okay, so I'll give time back to you guys, so you can actually do rest of your day, whatever the work that you have. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions, if no questions, I'll take a leave. So yeah, I mean, I asked a question like practical or theoretical or a mix of both. I do like 40-60 or 35-65. So 35 or 42 theory and remaining is practical. So that's what I follow. So I'll continue to follow same. So yep. So if no other questions, yeah.
Shankar, do you want us to create an account tomorrow by the class time?
No, not right now. I'll tell you when you should create, because
Okay.
Azure only gives you for 28 days. Don't create right now. But if you want to practice it, I'll give 1 second, guys. I'll give you the link right away. So let me just give me a minute. I'm sharing the link to you guys. So if you want to practice anything in terms of 1 second, labs, I'll give you a link where you can actually create a sandbox, and then you can try it out yourself. Yep. So I'm pasting the link in chat. So please take this link from here and you can create a VM. So just open the link. Let me open it myself and show you guys, so that in case, yeah. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and create it. So this is actually the page that I gave you. So you have to sign into your sandbox, log in with your machine, log in with your credentials. Then come on. So a lot of things here. So architect, there it is. Okay. Anything, yeah. Come on. Microsoft Azure. So do you have it? Yeah, I have it here. Go again. Let me not sign in with a different account then. Okay. Okay, so my sandbox is loading. In case if you want to practice this, of course you can do this. So activate your sandbox. You have the instructions to follow here. 1 second, guys. Let me. Okay. It is asking for verification. So what is
If you cannot see your screen,
yeah, I'm sharing. Yeah, can you see it now?
yes.
Okay. So you have to activate your sandbox. Once you activate sandbox, you can actually go to same portal. So the one that I told you. So you have to, this will actually take maybe a few minutes for you to activate, because with this you'll be able to create a VM for free. So for your practice. So initial few days, I suggest you to use this option to practice. Later on, I'll tell you when you should create, probably next, not this week, maybe next Monday, not coming Monday, next to next Monday, I'll tell you guys to create a subscription, free trial. Okay, so our sandbox is ready. So once it is ready, then you have to, in a same portal, same browser, you have to use portal.azure.com. So you get a portal.azure.com and go to subscriptions. Let's see, do you have any sandbox here? So, yeah, this is actually sandbox that's actually created for you. So in this sandbox, you can create a VM. So you might have a question, how will I create it? So how will I practice it? You have the steps here to create VM. Use the same steps. So step-by-step procedure just to practice. But don't worry, even if you cannot practice, if you don't understand, don't worry, because we are not actually yet reached here. So we'll reach there in few days time. So if you still, I mean, maybe if you are enthusiastic person, so if you want to practice, you can do that creation here. So with this VM. So, but just remember one thing, when you're creating a VM, choose a lesser VM, like choose choose a small VM, like something like this, 1 CPUs. So that's something I suggest you to do. Just choose a smaller VM for your practice. That's how you'll be able to create it. Okay, that's about it, guys. So yeah, I mean, if you do practice, if you want to do, yes, you can go ahead and do it using the link that I shared. If you don't want to do now, if you want to do it later, it's totally fine, because we have not reached here. So it will take few days time for us to reach here. Okay. So if any other questions, if you do not have questions, I'll take a leave for today.
So for the subscription, for the sandbox, we don't need to add any credit card, right? We don't need to take any subscription as a form for the
Exactly.
sandbox.
You don't need to because this, they'll only give it for 1 hour time. After 1 hour, you have to do a refresh. You create another sandbox. So you
Okay.
actually have to renew it. So they'll give you only for 1 hour for you to practice.
Okay.
And but you can take 10 sandboxes in a day. So you can do all the
Okay.
practices.
Okay. All right.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, Shankar. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Stay safe. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye bye.